Hey guys, so thank you guys for being here. This is day 2 of becoming an expired master. Day 2. Now, day 1, I'm gonna do just a quick recap for you guys that missed it or you guys forgot what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about why listings expire, and I gave you guys 10 reasons why listings expire that are other than price. You know, price is not the only reason listings expire. Number 2, we talked about the mindset of an expired seller. Now, here's the thing. Lots of times these sellers, they're not mad at you. Lots of times they're mad at the situation that they're in. You know, and there's nothing we can do about that. You know, it sucks. I mean, I think we've all been like that before. You know, we've really been mad at something else. We had a frustrating day at the office, and then we come home and we're kind of mean to everybody else. This is the same thing that's happening with these sellers. You know, we talked about 7 reasons most agents fail when working expireds. And I think it's important to see why they're failing and what they're doing wrong so that we can just not do those things, or we can do those things better. Wouldn't you agree? Then we talked about, we built your schedule. I set it up for you, just a quick, simple, down and easy way to build your schedule. And I think the number one thing in your business that will increase your business is for you to have a prospecting schedule, a schedule where you're looking for new business every day or every week, and you to actually follow your schedule 75% or more of the time. You know, notice I say 75% more of the time because you know what? Nobody's perfect, and we're going to have things that come up every now and then. The thing is, we have to position ourselves and we have to build our schedule so that when things come up, we have some room in there where we can adjust to account for it. It's not a big deal. You know, if we were at any other job, we'd have a schedule and we know where we need to be and when we need to be there, right? Why can't we do that in our own business? We're making more than we made at our other job, or at least we have the potential to make more than we made at our other job. So, and then the last thing we talked about was how to get good at scripts. Now, today I want to do a continuation off of those scripts because I feel like there's some things that I need to go over a little bit more because I want you guys to really understand. I want you guys to get really, really good at scripts because I truly believe the best thing that you can do for yourself, your family, and your business is to get really, really good on the phone and get really good when you're talking to people, right? And, you know, here's the thing even about that. We know that that we basically know the conversations we're going to have, right? We know what sellers are want to talk about. We know what buyers want to talk about. We know what's going to happen when we go to people's houses. We know the objection that we're going to get like 80 to 90% of the time, right? So what would happen if we took and we really prepared for those things in our business? Now, this past week, I uploaded I think 3 scripts. I uploaded several scripts to becoming a prospecting master. Then I've done some little videos to kind of show you how to use those scripts because I think that's one thing that real estate coaches and trainers don't do enough of. They give you a script, they throw you out there to the wolves and hope that something works out for you and basically say, good luck, we'll see you later. However, some of their scripts, I think sometimes you need to use a little different script or a little different line or a little different questioning as you're going through it. And sometimes I don't think agents understand that, hey, you know, what your real purpose of the script is. Why are you using a script? And this is the initial call script we're talking about. And I mean, but this really applies to any script in dialogue. You know, 3 purposes. And I believe if you stick to these, you can really, you know, keep this in mind when you're calling. Number 1, the reason you're using a script is because you know what to say. You know, I was watching this thing on TV and it was talking about actors and scripts and stuff, and you know, there's different ones like Will Ferrell that they can go out there and they can just be so funny without a script. But the thing is, there's not a lot of Will Ferrells, right? There's not a lot of these guys that can go out there without a script and just be really funny, stick to the storyline and the whole thing. And even if he is going out there and 100% winging it, he's at least internalized the main point of the story in the dialogue. there is some sort of script that has went on, even if it's him thinking about it in his head. But the biggest problem with most agents is they don't know what to say. They don't know what to say, and they don't know when to say it. So that's why when they make calls, there are a lot of calls, and they're going basically they're basically throwing up on everybody, and they're making all these different noises, and they just don't know what to say. They never set any appointments because they don't know what to say. You can take a highly trained agent that's been used to using scripts, an agent that's been in the business for a long time, and that highly trained agent using scripts, I believe, will outsell that other agent over and over again because they know what to say and when to say it. That's the only thing. That's why we need to use a script. Number two. The other reason, number two didn't slow. There we go. There's number two. The other reason why we need to use a script when we're talking to sellers is so that we will know what the seller will say. And I know there's a few of you guys on this call that are going, oh man, well, how do we know what the seller's going to say? They don't have the script. Well, here's the thing. Once you've been using that script over and over again, and you've talked to 100 sellers using that script, 500 sellers using that script, 1,000 sellers using that script, then you know all the answers to the questions. You know every objection you're going to get. And then you're going to be able to quicker and more easily respond to questions, answers, and objections, right? If I say to you every morning, if I walk into the office and I say to everybody in the office every morning, I tell everybody good morning, is it going to take but a week or two? And I'm going to kind of know everybody that's going to tell me good morning back. And I'm going to know those agents that kind of make the, oh, there's nothing good about it kind of response or facial expression, I'm going to know all these things. You're going to know all these things about sellers too, because there is not a class out there that is teaching sellers new objections to tell real estate agents when they call. There's a lot of classes like this that teach, agents what to say when they're talking to sellers, but sellers don't have new agent objection workshops, If they did, I can think of a lot of them that I would use as a seller that would just be insane, crazy, off the wall stuff that you guys would never be able to overcome. But a typical seller is never going to say those things, I would teach those classes if they made them, if those were a purpose, So number three, the third purpose of having a script is to set an appointment. What you're doing when you're using these scripts of mine, your whole purpose is to set an appointment. Okay. Every once in a while. Now we're talking about like 1 out of 99 true seller conversation calls, maybe. Every now and then you might list one over the phone, but it's very unlikely that you're going to list over the phone. I know there's probably not a lot of people that have told you that, but if you're making calls to sellers, it's very unlikely you're going to list the house on the phone. Now, I believe that we should try to go on as many appointments as we can. And I believe in minimal qualification, minimally qualifying the listing appointment. I couldn't think of the word. I couldn't think how to tell you guys that. Minimally qualifying the listing appointment. Now, I believe that, and I'm going to get to that a little bit more in a minute, but the purpose of you making the call and talking to the seller is to set an appointment. You list the property through your sales process, what we're going to talk about later on this call. So I've got 3 other things I want to talk about real quick, and I'll give you 3 reasons why a lot of scripts do not work. Now, I'm going to tell you, the scripts that I'm sharing with you guys, they work. You can ask the agents in my coaching group. Guys, if you're on this call and you're in my coaching group and you're on Facebook, put whether or not my scripts work there in the dialogue. Most scripts in today's real estate world do not work. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, they're just too hard to get through, right? You got an expired seller on the phone, or you got a for sale owner on the phone, whichever one. And I've seen some of these scripts that are survey. Hey, I'm calling because I'm surveying all the for sale owners in the neighborhood. Dude, why? I would hang up on you. You wouldn't even be able to get all that out before I hung up on you. I do not have time to deal with that. And that is the honest to God truth. Your sellers don't have time to take a survey. Nobody wants to take a survey on the phone. Most scripts are just too damn hard to get through. They got 12, 15 questions. They are qualifying the people to the nth, absolute nth degree. They want to know, I mean, they're asking, I mean, everything except for their blood type. You know what I mean? They're asking you, hey, Mr. Seller, what's your blood type before I can give you a CMA on this house? You know, stuff that don't have anything to do with the seller selling their house. The only reason you're calling them is because you want to sell their house. You believe that you can sell their house. You believe that you are the best option for them as far as selling their house. The only reason they are talking to you and giving you the few minutes they are giving you is because they think by chance they are hopeful that you might convince them to sell their house. Because here's the thing, there's more benefit in them working with you than you working with them. Wrap your head around that. I shared that this morning in my group coaching class. The seller client benefits more from working with you than you do from working with them. And I'll tell you guys this real quick, why this is true. They're either getting rid of they're getting rid of a headache. Typically, they want to sell their house because there's a problem. They're getting rid of that problem. They're getting rid of the mortgage payment. They're getting rid of the house that's too big, the house that's too small, the house that's too far away from work, the house that's in the wrong school district, the house they don't like their neighbors. There is more benefit for them to work with you than you to work for them. And most of these scripts are just too hard to get through. There's 12, 15 questions. They're asking you things. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go to when you sell your house? Who cares where they go to? That's not even the conversation. The conversation is their house they have today. Deal with one thing at a time. Where they're moving to, that's a different conversation. What if they're moving next door? What if they're moving to grandma's house they inherited? Where they're moving to doesn't matter. All that matters is the house they want to sell today. Most of the scripts out there talk about stuff that isn't even relevant to the conversation. Have you guys seen that? Does that make sense to you? Comment on Facebook or raise your hand if you guys get what I'm saying there. Number 2, most of the scripts overqualify. I'm talking about they overqualify to the point that it's ridiculous. Like, hey, if I take the time to, and this is basically what you're saying, hey, Mr. Seller, look here. Jason Morris here, and I'm with a fantastic realty group. And look here, if I take the time to print out these 11 sheets of paper and I fill them in with my ink, and my printer ink and all that stuff, and I drive over there, you know, I know it's going to cost me about $3 in gas. You are going to sign these papers for sure with me, right? Look at some of these scripts you guys are using. They qualify to the point where you might as well be telling the seller that. And you're overqualifying. Most sellers, this is the biggest asset. Let me explain this to you. This is the biggest asset that a typical family owns is their house. And a lot of these scripts you're asking that person to commit to working with you on the biggest asset they own, their biggest financial piece of anything. You're asking them over the phone, a person they've never met. And you're asking them for a key to their house too. You know, think about that. I mean, think about that. That's wild. That's absolutely insane. Would you guys give the keys to your house to a random person you met off Craigslist? Ask yourself that. That's what you're asking these sellers to do with a lot of these scripts that you're using. I've heard a lot of agents, the reason why they're not setting more appointments is they're just overqualified. Number three, the number three reason a lot of scripts don't work is they don't flow like a natural conversation. Here's the thing, mine do. My scripts are in the file section. Look in the file section of the group becoming a prospecting master. If you're my group coaching, they're in the file section of my group coaching group also. But most of these scripts don't flow like a natural conversation. You're asking questions that don't even matter. The biggest thing that you need to do is you need to confirm they want to sell their house, confirm the price they want to sell their house for, confirm the condition, the time frame they'd like to be gone, and then if you can come on Tuesday at 2. A lot of these conversations, you're asking, oh, where are you going to? Oh, it's nice. It's been there. Have you ever been to Las Vegas? And I'm sure that some of these scripts, the person on the phone is thinking, what is this person thinking? What's this agent doing? Calling me. Or like, here's the truth too. Most agents don't call and ask surveys. I've seen a lot of survey scripts. I've seen the $1 million question script. I don't know if you guys have seen that one. I can't remember the coach it came from, but it said, if you knew by meeting with me I could net you $1 million more on selling your house, would you meet with me? Dude, I would walk to meet you for $1 million more, but I know for a fact you can't sell my house for $1 million more than what it's worth. But so it's really stupid, and the people that you're talking to think it's stupid also. Most scripts don't flow like a natural conversation. So guys, I want to go over some script dynamics for you, because I feel like there's a lot of things that agents are missing, and I just want to go through these because I want you to fully understand how to use my scripts, because I want you guys to get started today. I think the biggest thing that you can do is not wait. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to go through this again. I want to go through this script again today because I was getting a lot of questions about what to say and how to say it, and being nervous over the phone, and I want you guys to get started. With this program, if you're listening to this live, Red-X offered you a special deal, and I think you should take advantage of it and get started making calls today. Right? So I want to make sure that in day 2 that you guys were getting started. If you have a problem with getting started, message me through Facebook, and let's see if we can work through that problem together. Okay, script dynamics. What you want to look for in the script, the way it should go, the way my scripts go, the reason why my scripts work. And I want to share with you a couple tips on how to get better. And I've got a lot of stuff I want to share this call, man. I'm like halfway through my time already. So now, script dynamics. Here's the deal. Do you know how easy it is to say 1 + 1 =, and you know what the answer is, right? Your script should be that easy. It should be that easy for you to follow, that easy for you to flow. It should be a natural conversation for you. Now, the first time you do it, it's not going to be natural. Natural comes with practice. But even there, you shouldn't have a script that you feel like completely uncomfortable saying, right? And I see that a lot. It should be 1 + 1 =. It should be that simple. Okay, so that's why a lot of my scripts, they're short. You're asking some questions. You're keeping the conversation short. You're keeping it simple. You're setting an appointment. That's what it needs to be. Like I said, the fact that, they're moving to Las Vegas, they're moving to Canada, they're moving to wherever, has nothing to do with the conversation you're at on the phone. You like to gauge motivation. Hopefully you can. But at the same time, you're gauging whether or not they want to sell in the time frame they like to sell it in. That's it. And that's the thing, it's got to be easy as 1 + 1. Okay, natural questions and dialogues. The script that you're using needs to be natural questions that a buyer would ask, questions that show that you're interested about the house, questions that show that you're confident about the house, asking about the condition of the house, the age of the roof, the age of the HVAC, the age of the hot water heater, what type of features, upgrades, extras do they have? Have they done any upgrades, extras do they have? Is there something special about their lot? Is it on the pond? Is it not on the pond? Is it a corner lot? Is it at the back of a cul-de-sac that backs up to woods that's a natural preserve, that can never be built on? That's a big plus. Those sort of questions show that you're truly interested in the house, show that you're knowledgeable. Those are the same questions buyers would ask. Those are the questions that's going to help you marketing the house. Get this, okay, if it's a 15-year-old community and they get a brand new air conditioner, a brand new roof, and none of the other houses on the market have a brand new air conditioner, brand new roof, wouldn't it make logical sense? Everything else the same. Wouldn't it make logical sense their house could sell for more money? They get a little bit of a premium because they got a brand new 30-year roof and they got a brand new HVAC. Does that make sense to you guys? Your script needs to be very natural. It needs to be questions that an educated buyer would ask, questions that an educated realtor would ask. The third thing here I want to tell you about dynamics is tonality. This is a big thing I see. Tonality is not what you say, but how you say it. Okay, so here's the thing. Have you ever had that person that I got a client. I'll give you guys an example. I got a client that he's actually a super nice guy, but the guy's kind of rough over the phone. He's kind of rough. His use of language is rough. Just the tone of his voice. I mean, man, when I first met him, I'd hang up the phone with him and I would really be thinking to myself, damn, that guy hates me. Have you guys ever had a situation like that where you're like, damn, that person hates me? But it isn't that they hated you. They actually kind of liked you. Just the way that they told you things, you're going like, man, that was like the harshest way that you could tell me that, It's kind of like Gary's exactly right. Donald Trump, some of his tonality, some of it's things that we're all thinking, but we don't say them, or we say them in a little bit more of a politically correct way, or we say them in a kinder, gentler way. It's like their tone of voice is like somebody telling you that you're fat. Everybody gets upset with that, and maybe they're not telling you that you're fat. It's just the way they said it and the way they make eye contact, maybe they said something like, oh, you look like you'd be an expert in picking out a restaurant. And you're going, oh, or the tonality and the word use. But lots of times it's not what you say, but how you're saying it. A lot of agents I hear on the phone, they get on their phone and their posturing is so bad. They literally get there and they whisper. They go, hey, Mr. Seller, it's Jason Morris here. You want to let me come over and list your house? Do you want to list your house? Versus, hey, this is Jason Morris with XYZ Realty. I saw your house is for sale. The tonality is completely different. It's the same as saying I sell houses versus saying, oh, I list houses. We see agents doing that all the time. Now, there's with tonality is like, it's an advanced script. I think this is it. I should have called today's call it like advanced script 102 or something, because I believe this is an important part. I believe that the tonality you use, the way you say things, the way you go down through the script, I think that sometimes is how people respond to you. Like I've heard, the feedback I get about me sometimes is that I know that I have a Southern accent, and I know that, I speak a certain way, and I know that I have a certain tonality when I talk to people, and that tonality just didn't happen. I mean, when I first started selling real estate, I sounded like I was 12 years old. And I had all the problems everybody else has. It wasn't until later I realized that how important this was. And a lot of the way I found out about it was really listening to others. But there's 3 ways I can think of that help you get better at this. Number 1 is being self-aware. Just having listened to me talk about this today, all of you guys on the phone, you guys are all going to be aware of the way you talk. You're going to be aware of the pitch of your voice, the tempo, the speed. I mean, the whole thing. Self-awareness is a big part of this. When you become self-aware of things, I wish this was something I could teach, but the thing is, you can't really, I don't think you can teach self-awareness. I think that, just sometimes somebody says something to you and it just kind of clicks, and it's like all of a sudden, oh, I'm aware that, so like somebody telling you, hey, you got a wrinkle on your shirt. You went through your day perfectly fine. That wrinkle would have been there. You'd have never known about it until some guy told you, hey, your shirt's wrinkled. Then the rest of the day you feel self-conscious because your shirt's all wrinkled up, right? You became self-aware of the wrinkles on your shirt. Your tonality is going to be the same way. Once you become self-aware and start listening to the way you're sounding, listening to the way you sound when you're on the phone, listening to the way I sound when I'm talking to you right now, listening to the way other agents in your office or wherever you're at talk to their clients, listening to other people make calls on YouTube, right? Is going to help you get more self-aware. Number two, you practice. When you figure out what works and you figure out the tonality you need to have, you practice it over and over again, right? You're self-aware and then you practice. And I think that practice, becoming self-aware is a big part of it, but then practicing and actually doing it and seeing the results and hearing the results over and over again, I think is enormous. Once you realize this and you realize that, hey, when you're sitting face to face with somebody, you lean in a little bit and you look them directly in their eyes and you speak a little bit softer than what you were speaking before, everybody listens to you a little bit closer. But all that stuff comes from practicing. Number three way to get better, and I mentioned this here just a second ago, is to listen to others. Now, there's a lot of ways you can listen to others. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can just look me up, Jason Morris Group. I've got a lot of calls on there where I actually go through the calls and stuff. There's tons of people on YouTube that are actually that you can listen to that are making live calls and stuff. But listening to others, if you're not in an office, I know a lot of offices. Seems like there's a lot of offices that don't believe in the whole prospecting for listings thing. And if you really look around, there's not a lot of agents doing it. Like if you look at 100, your typical 100 agent office, there probably isn't, 5 people actually making calls on a consistent basis. So there's lots of times you don't have somebody in your office you can sit across from. When I first started making calls, I was fortunate enough that, back then, there'd be 40 agents in the office every day. Nowadays, you go in a 100 agent office and you're lucky if there's 5. And I think it's just the way that technology has changed our industry. I was fortunate enough to be able to sit in offices and hear other people talk to other people, Now, we do have YouTube. I think there's some people doing it on Facebook. There's a lot of stuff, but listen to other people and not really what they're saying, but how they're saying it. How they're setting appointments on that call, the way their voice sounds. So, guys, I hope that really has helped you get a better understanding of the scripts that I posted, what you kind of need to be doing, and I hope it kind of gets you. You guys that have been hesitating to start making calls, I hope that kind of gets you out there and gets you started making calls, So I want to talk about several other things today. I want to talk about your sales process. And I'm trying to keep today to an hour. Last week was like almost 2 hours. But I want to talk about your sales process. Now, this was one of the 7 reasons last week why I said most agents fail. Most agents fail because they do not have a sales process. And think about this. You don't have to raise your hand or anything when I tell you this, because here's the thing. Me telling you about this, this is going to be kind of an overview on this. I'm not going to walk down through a sales process, but I'm going to give you some ideas and some tips on what you should be doing and what your sales process should look like. But what is your sales process? Number one, what happens when you get a new lead? Now, this could be buyers, sellers. What happens when the new expired pops up in your market? What do you do with it? I'm going to ask this question, and I'm not really looking for an answer, but how many of you have actually sat down and worked through the sales process? What happens when new expireds show up on Red-X? What happens when I have a meaningful conversation with the seller? What happens in that little area that I'm really wanting to work really hard and I'm really targeting? What happens when a new expired comes up? What happens when I get them on the phone? What happens if I can't get them on the phone? What happens on my follow-up calls? Just what happens from the moment I get a new lead to the moment it closes. Now, this is with buyers or sellers. How many of you guys have actually mapped out that process? If you haven't mapped out that process, how do you know what's going to happen? Are you just guessing or going on gut instinct as far as what happens? And I think that's a real question. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit harsh when I say that, but what happens with your new leads? You know, guys, what happens when you talk to a hot seller? And this is my tip: you need to have a pre-listing package. Guys, a pre-listing package will be the #1 tool in your toolbox. This is how you market the property. When you talk to a hot seller, when you talk to a seller that's really interested in selling their home, whether it's an expired, your cousin, you know, a for sale owner, it don't matter. The #1 thing you need to do is make sure they have your pre-listing package. This is what tells about you, your team, and what you do to sell houses. If you don't have a pre-listing package, then you must just stick a sign out there, put it on MLS, and hope, because, I mean, that's it, right? You know, so, I mean, that's one of the things. You know, what happens when you get a hot seller? What happens when you get an expired on the phone, right? Now, here's the thing, Red-X, I believe that real estate's a lot like baseball. The more at-bats you get, the more opportunities you get to hit a ball, the more balls you're going to hit, right? And the great thing about our industry is we don't have to bat 400 to make a really good living. You know, if you're playing baseball and you hit 400, you hit 4 out of 10, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame with no problems. If you hit 3 out of 10, you're going to be pretty good and you're going to get paid very well. If you hit 2 out of 10, you're probably going to get cut from the team. But in the real estate business, if we can close 2 out of 10 hot sellers we get, man, we can make a lot of money. How many of you guys would like to talk to 10 good sellers a week and close 2 of them on listing with you? That's a pretty good ratio. You know, I had this guy tell me, this has probably been a year ago. He goes, oh man, I don't know what to do. My business is going horrible. And I said, well, tell me about your business. He goes, the last year I met with 250 sellers. Told me he listed like 70 properties and he sold like 55. And his average sales price was pretty good. It was like $300,000. And he tells me about this, and I said, man, he goes, I just don't know what to do next year, you know? And I said, man, it sounds to me like you need to meet with another 250 sellers, see if you can list 75 and close about 55 of those. That was a pretty good year, you know? Lots of times we get focused on the sellers that we miss. You know, we get focused on, wow, there was 3 wrong numbers, you know what I mean? Versus, hey, we got on the phone 2 out of 10 people, and those 2 out of 10 people were really good. You know, we got 1 out of 8 people on the phone here. 1 out of 8 people, the phone's pretty good. It takes you how many minutes to dial 8 numbers, and you're getting 1 out of 8, and that's a real statistic there, guys. 1 out of 8 people should answer the phone for you, and that's an average market. Okay, if you're getting 1 out of 8 people on the phone, you're talking to 10 people a day, and you're getting one that's pretty solid, you know, one solid lead to follow up on. Man, talking to 20 people a day. In my group coaching, our survey said 22.6 takes 22.6 conversations to equal 1 listing appointment. What if you could have made enough calls that you had 22.6 conversations a day? Does that seem like outrageous? I mean, you're working anyway, right? You're planning to work 8 hours tomorrow anyway. Why not work 8 hours on call and talking to 22.6 people and setting 1 listing appointment? 1 listing appointment, let's just break this down real quick. 1 listing appointment, if you're in a market with average sales price is $100,000 and you're getting 1 out of 2, you're listing 50% of the appointments you're going, which I don't think is really a good number, right? You're getting 1 out of 2 you're going on. So that one appointment is worth $1,500. How many of you guys would be willing to work for $1,500 a day? What if you're only getting 1 out of 4 appointments you're going on, right? But your average sales price, your normal market in the country is probably about $250,000 right now. You're getting 1 out of 4 appointments, then, let's just make math easy here and say it's $6,000 average commission. Those 1 out of 4 appointments are worth $1,500 appointment. If you get a little bit better at your listing presentation, you get 2 out of 4 appointments. Dude, there's 2 out of 4 appointments worth. It's 2 appointments worth $3,000 a piece. So guys, but what happens when you talk to a hot seller? And I put this in here. I know this is on expireds, but I want to ask you this question too. What happens when you talk to a hot buyer? And I feel like that process we just went through with sellers, I feel like you need to do that same thing with buyers. If you guys are working with buyers in your business, what happens when you talk to a hot buyer? I think that's a really, really important question to ask. So guys, now that leads me to your follow-up process. One of the things I see with agents, we know there's so much research out there. So much research. Chet Holmes in The Ultimate Sales Machine said for luxury products, it takes 6 to 8 follow-ups. And this was several years ago when he was a sales manager for a lot of the Berkshire Hathaway companies. He said 6 to 8 follow-ups on luxury items, right? But they designed their follow-up process to go 15 to 17 follow-ups. What if every one of you designed your follow-up system to go 15 to 17 follow-ups before you threw a lead away, where you're making 15 to 17 calls with a prospect before you throw it away? What if you done it? When I was in Dallas last week, where Kenneth Travis was on stage, and he's a lender that generates a ton of buyer leads. He talked about having a 50-touch follow-up process between emails, texts, phone calls. They follow up with a lead 50 times. What would happen in your business if you guys followed up with your prospects even 10 times? How would that change your business? How many times are you following up with a lead before you say it's a dead lead? Most agents have no follow-up process at all. We're talking about a written follow-up process that you can print out and say, hey, this is what happens on call number 1. This is what happens if I don't get in touch with them. This is what happens. This is what happens if I don't get in touch with them. And Jenny asked, I want to answer this right now, is these 15 to 17 calls, assuming you actually talk to the person or reach out and leave a message, is counted. Well, personally, I think that's up to you guys to decide. Does a message count as a follow-up? Me personally, I think messages are important. I think that if we don't leave messages, our chances for a callback goes down, right? If you don't leave a message, I can tell you this: if you don't leave me a message or send me a text when you call me, I'm not calling you back. I'm too busy. Leave me a message. I use Google Voice. It gets sent to me automatically. If you send me a text, I follow up with you. If you don't leave a voicemail, you don't send me a text, I don't call you back. That's generally speaking, unless it's somebody that I know, So I believe that I believe those messages. I believe that they can count as a follow-up. I've left 20 messages. Sometimes I left messages every day, for these leads that are super motivated, right? They're super motivated. They want to do something. They got to do something by February 1st, right? Got to do something by February 1st. So a lot of agents, what they do is they have a meaningful conversation. That person will tell them they got to do something by February 1st. And they say, oh, well, I guess give me a call back after February 1st. Well, what a lot of agents do is they just give them a call back after February 1st. Well, really, they should be calling them back tomorrow. Because, Mr. Seller, I'm calling you back. I know you got to do something with your house. There's a lot of buyers that are going to be in town on the weekend. This and this and this is going on around your home. I don't want you to miss a buyer this weekend. we're really busy right now. This coming up, we're finally at a point in the year. We're finally at a point of the year where people are about to start getting their tax returns. And so it's a fantastic time to follow up, because the real hardcore truth of it is there are those first-time home buyers. There are a lot of home buyers, and then really even first-time home buyers. There are a lot of home buyers right now in the market. They want to buy a house, but they need to get that tax return check back to get the rest of their down payment. Or they need to get that tax return check back so they can pay down a credit card, so the credit score, the debt to income ratio will be in line. There's a lot of situations going on like that, guys. And if you're not following up, relaying that to sellers, Mr. Seller, this is one of the first weekends that buyers can look. Next weekend, I think they can start filing February 1st, I believe. But that's one of the first weekends. Those buyers that are really serious are looking right now. I promise you. And I use Google Voice. Kenny, I use Google Voice because it actually transcribes my voicemails and sends them to me. And I haven't checked a voicemail in years, man. And it's a fantastic service, and it's actually free. But guys, on every follow-up you do, you need to provide some sort of value, right? You need to provide something of value. A lot of agents talk about their follow-up system, but their follow-up system is really, hey, Mr. Seller, you ready to list today? Okay, talk to you later. They call back next week or 2 weeks, and they say, hey, Mr. Seller, what about today? You ready to list today? And they provide no value on the follow-up calls. And it's really a mistake. I mean, and here's the thing, information is value. We talked about this last week. The reason why you guys are listening to this call with me is because I'm providing information that you feel, and that information you feel like is valuable. Information is valuable. On every single call, you have to create a sense of urgency. Right? There's a lot of agents going right now. They're having conversations with sellers that seller would put their house on the market right now. And those agents are going, but Mr. Seller, if you just wait to spring, our market picks up. How many of you guys have heard agents say that? Oh, our market always picks up in the spring. In December, I tell you what, December is a fantastic month to sell your house. You don't get a lot of showings in the month of December, but the showings that you get, they're pretty serious buyers. But I guarantee you right now, there were agents all over the place telling sellers, oh, Mr. Seller, yeah, it's slow. It picks up in the spring. And then they don't understand why that seller don't want to list their house with them. They told them they basically said, hey, we're not going to be able to sell your house until April. Maybe we should just wait and try then. Or that seller's struggling to pay his next house payment. That seller's driving 2 hours each way to work, right? You have to create a sense of urgency. If you want clients to work with you today, you have to create a sense of urgency for them to want to work with you today, right? And I'm gonna show you guys a formula. This is like my secret formula here. You could probably decode all of my follow-up with this. Hang on just a second. I gotta get a little water here. So this is my secret follow-up script formula. My follow-up script formula is, if that, then this. If that is happening in your neighborhood, then this is what we can do today, right? So if you want to get $150,000 for your house, and this is typically how this goes. Hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason Morris. We've been talking about selling your house. I know you wanted $150,000 for it. The one 3 doors down just closed for $157,000. If we put your house on the market today, yours will be the lowest priced home in the community. Now is a fantastic time to sell. Would you like to get started today so that buyers can come look at it this weekend? Right? If this is happening, then this is what we're going to do. It's basically what I'm saying. I mean, we can do that a bunch of different ways. Hey, Mr. Seller, I know that you wanted $150,000 for your house. I've been doing some research in your community, and if we put your home on the market today, you will be the lowest price one on the pond. You will be the best price home on the pond. You will be the best price home that has a brand new roof and hardwood floors. If we do this, then this is what's going to happen, right? Does that make sense to you guys? So guys, I got some time for some question and answer. I kept today's literally to an hour. I was literally counting down the minutes as I was going through that, guys. So we ended it right at an hour. So guys, what questions do you have? I want to help you guys with your business. I want to help you convert more expireds. Yeah, Jenny, you know what? That makes sense. But we hear agents all the time. I believe we're in the sales business. So that might be like the different mindset I have versus some of the coaches out there. I think some real estate coaches and some real estate agents, I'm not sure what business they're in, but I've always felt like I'm in the sales business, And here's one of my thoughts. I've always felt like is that is in this when I kind of developed this thought, it changed the way that I done business. I'm not in the business of selling houses. I sell a service that sells houses. Jenny, what kind of items of value do you bring on, say, 10 follow-up calls? Do you tell them? Oh, I'm sorry, that was a different question. Can you give us an idea of 10 follow-up calls? Okay, I like to do the one like this is happening in your neighborhood. That's one of my favorite ones. This went on the market, this went off the market, this went pending, this just sold. I like doing that. I like the call, hey Mr. Seller, it's Jason Morris. I'm giving you a call because in the month of January, I was wondering if you're still looking to sell your house. Oh gosh, you hadn't sold it. Gosh, we've been busy in the month of January. My office closed X number of houses. Man, I feel like, have you had any serious buyers? And I like to have that conversation. I like to brag a little bit on what I've done or my office is doing. Tommy Pierce, he's a guy in my group coaching. He got 8 contracts last week. Guy's on fire. One of the things I'd be doing with on every single call this week, if I was him, was I'd be telling every follow-up call, gosh, I got 8 contracts last week on listings. Man, I've been busy. I feel like we missed a buyer for your house. That's a fantastic one too. Hey, Mr. Seller, I like holidays. I like following up before holidays and going, hey, Mr. Seller, this weekend is XYZ holiday. It's a 3-day weekend. A lot of people are going to be in town looking at houses. I'm calling you because I don't want you to miss a buyer. Then if I get shut down, I like to follow up the next week and go, hey, Mr. Seller, this is Jason Morris. Gosh, I know we talked last week. Did you sell your house? I know you mentioned having somebody come look at it. I know you mentioned somebody coming to look at it. Gosh, do you have, man, last week was busy. There was 10 homes right around yours that went under contract last weekend. I feel like we missed a good buyer. That's fantastic. I'm just coming up with these off the top of my head of things I've used before. Time changes are a great one. Like right now, gosh, you can't really show a house in the afternoon because it gets dark at 5:30. End of the month is fantastic because most mortgage payments are due on the 1st. So any follow-up at the end of the month, like this week, you should be hammering your follow-up calls because we know for sure that more than likely there's a mortgage payment due next week for most of these people. I like to follow up with lender programs, like especially if their home qualifies for some special financing. That's fantastic. Just going, hey, this is Jason Morris with I was thinking about your house and I was doing a little bit of research and I was talking to my lender and you know what? They have a program called rural housing and it's 100% financing. We've had a lot of success marketing homes with that program. Your home falls in that category. And I'll tell you what I've done with a lot of those. And, some people might think it's a sales gimmick, but man, sellers love to have that 100% financing sign writer on your sign out in front of their house when they qualify for that rural housing loan here. And some of them will actually like go crazy if you tell them they can't have it. It's wild. So I like to follow up with programs like that. Really anything happening, anything bought, sold. A great one is, hey, I'm going to be in your community. I was in your community. Yes, I was in your area yesterday, looking around with some buyers, and I thought about you. I wanted to give you a call, see how things were going selling your house. Another great one is, I'm going to be in your community on this day, and I want to know if you want to get started. One of my favorite ones is, sometimes I feel like sometimes you got to be a little bit sometimes you got to be a little bit mean. And I actually wrote a follow-up day planner. You guys can get it on Amazon if you're interested. Where literally I went through 2018, mapped out your whole follow-up plan for 2018. Um, but one of the things that is fantastic with the follow-up, or this is one of my favorite ones, is where I call the seller and I go, hey, Mr. Seller, look here, this is Jason Morris, and we've talked a bunch of times. Look here, I'm going to be really upfront with you. The reason I'm calling you is because I can sell your house. And you do want to sell your house, right? Like, yeah. So, I sell houses and you want to sell a house. When do you want me to start working for you? And being, just that direct, and you got to be very confident on that call. That's one of my favorite calls too. So, so in some of those things, you got to recycle them, sometimes you got to get really creative. Sometimes you got to, sometimes I like to mail my pre-listing package, but I don't do that often. How do I deliver my pre-listing package once I speak to a hot seller? Do you tell them you're going to give it to them ahead of time? I actually like to email my pre-listing package, Kelly. I don't drop it off. I mean, I'll tell you what, my market's kind of big. From one side of my market to the other in the middle of summer is an hour and a half drive one way. Man, I'm not driving an hour and a half to drop something off on your front porch. I think that the agents that are doing that lots of times, I think they're wasting time. I will email it to you. And that's how I do it. I email it, I text and follow up, make sure they got it. Kurt, you know what? We're all guilty of that, man. When you're Kurt said, I'd like to learn more about the sales process. I tend to change with each client and shooting from the hip. And I talk about that a lot in my group coaching, having processes and systems for things, because I see a lot of agents do that. They just kind of get out there and they say and do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you, you guys can go to jasonmorrisgroupcoaching.com and find out more about my group coaching program. I like to, do I use the word hire in my training? Not really. I like to use my favorite term is, my favorite term when I'm talking to sellers is, hey, look, when do you want me to start working for you? I can meet you on Tuesday. I want to work for you. I don't want you to hire me. You're not really going to be my boss. I want to work for you, right? Now, like I said a little bit ago, I mean, that's one of the things that we talked about this morning on my group coaching call, is that the mindset of closing a sale. Like, a lot of the reasons why I think some agents don't do better in what they do is because they never ask for the business. They never say, hey, Kenny, this is Jason Morris. Look, they never say, hey, look, Kenny, are you going to join my coaching program? Enrollment is open today, right? Agents never say, hey, I sell houses. You want to sell a house? I can meet you Thursday at 2. They never ask for the business. They'll have a great conversation with people. It blows my mind. They have a great conversation with people, and they never say, hey, Mr. Seller, how about we meet on Thursday? I can sell your home, right? Now, I got another question here. They want to sell, but they're afraid they won't have anywhere to go. I believe that's a valid concern in today's market. And the reason I believe that is because I see a lot of people like this. They could sell their house, and they could probably sell their house for more money than what they could ever get for it. But the problem is, if they sold their house for, say, $250,000, they can't buy anything comparable in the area they want to live in for $250,000. I mean, I believe that's a real concern in today's market. And that's, as the market gets hotter, we're going to see that a lot, because honestly, rents are going up like crazy in a lot of places. So, Jenny asked, I admit, as a woman, I feel as if I would be considered as aggressive. I would be considered as aggressive if I approach people like you. What's your thought about that based on feedback from other women realtors? You know, I don't think it really matters if you're a man or a woman. I think that you have to tell people that you want the business. And I don't think it's necessarily as aggressive as it is assertive, right? You want to be assertive when you talk to them. Because, I mean, you think about this. You ever notice there's some people out there that they can be 100% wrong, but when they talk, just everybody listens and everybody just allows them to be wrong? And it's not that they're really being aggressive. They're just so assertive and they're so confident in what they're saying. Just nobody really wants to challenge them. Everybody else wants to go along with it. And I think the thing that makes you have that is confidence in what you're doing. I'll share this with you real quick, Jenny, because I want to help you here. Now, this morning during my group coaching call, I talked about let me grab my notes here. I talked about 5 secrets of the mindset of coaching, and I'm not going to go really in depth with these, but I want to go through them really quick with you. And this is the mindset that I think that you need to have. Is number one, the client benefits more from working with you than you benefit from working with them. They are the benefactors of the relationship. I didn't make my pre-listing package for me. I know what I do to sell a house. I made it for you, so that it can help you decide to hire me. Because here's the thing, number 2, I'm going to help you quit guessing at what works. We all see these sellers and they're going out there, they're posting stuff on Facebook, they're posting stuff on Craigslist. They have all these crazy sales tricks and ideas they think is going to work for their business. And expireds are like this a lot. And what they're doing is they're just guessing. They heard something that works. They heard somebody over here sold a house doing this or that. The thing is, once they hire me as an agent, once they hire you as an agent, the number 2 thing they can do is they can quit guessing at what works, because you got a plan, right? And your plan works, your plan sells houses. Number 3, they get to know that there's a plan in place, right? Let's say you got a health problem, you got a legal problem, or whatever it is. Sometime you know that health problem is going to work itself out. You're going to feel better in a few days. You got a little cough. Last week when we done this, I had a little cough. I had a lot of stuff going on. I kind of a little nasty cold. I knew that in a few days it was going to work itself out. However, a lot of people with that still go to the doctor. They know they're probably going to be better in a day or 2, but they still go to the doctor because at least the doctor's going to give them a plan and, something that's going to make them feel like they're on the right track. Sometimes a speeding ticket, you get a speeding ticket, if you show up to court, they're probably going to drop the ticket down, probably going to give you a little bit of break. But, sometimes we go talk to an attorney about it because we know that, hey, they'll come up with a plan so that we're sure that's going to happen, right? We hire people, we hire professionals, not because they're professionals. We hire them for the plan they're going to provide us. They are hiring you because of the plan you're giving them. You didn't make that plan for you. You probably only have one house you can sell. Most agents don't even have that, Number 4, they hire you. The reason they're hiring you is because they know there's not going to be money left on the table. If you hire me, I'm going to make sure that we get the highest and best possible price the market will bear. I used an example of that earlier where I had a past client that her daughter wants to put their house on the market. I'm going to go list it this afternoon. And honestly, the price they wanted, they could probably do it for sale by owner. I'm just being upfront with you guys. They could probably do it for sale by owner. The price they actually wanted was a deal. They called me because they want to make sure they're getting all the money. And I can tell you this, even hiring me, paying my commission and stuff, they're still going to walk away with probably 8-10% more. I'm going to make sure they get the highest and best possible price the market's going to bear. And they have peace of mind knowing that, right? And number 5, professionals handling their transaction. The average seller out there, even the most experienced ones probably haven't done more than a couple of transactions. And that's the thing. You know that when you hire a professional, they're going to take care of the problem, right? It's like hiring a painter off of Craigslist versus hiring a painting company. You can hire that painter off Craigslist, but man, he's probably going to slot paint all over your floor. You're probably going to have the proper tools, equipment, might not have a ladder, versus hiring the real paint company where they're going to come in, they're going to be quick, they're going to be clean, they're going to have everything they need to do it correctly. They're going to know a professional is handling their transaction. That's the mindset that you need to build for yourself around these things. So I got a few more questions, guys, and let's see here. I think I've answered them all, actually. What's your thoughts on home flippers? We all know exactly what they're doing. They've sold every home for sale by owner. Do you keep these folks as high priority follow-ups, Jason? You know what? Tell me I would. I'd follow up with them every now and then and stuff. And one of the reasons being is because this market we're in is not going to last forever. And yeah, they've been doing it for 2 or 3 years. 2 or 3 years. We've been in an up market, man. We've been in a good market last 2 or 3 years. 4 years, probably longer than that, to tell you the truth. We've been in a pretty good market, most all over the country the last 2 or 3 years. So those guys that are fairly new in the business, in the home flipping business, they have had a lot of good luck and they've had a lot of success selling their own properties. And the thing is, once our market hits a little speed bump and things slow down, and it's going to happen. I can't tell you when. It might be in 6 months. It might be in 18 months. I don't know. But I can tell you this, it's not going to go forever. It never does. I mean, you look at the cycles of the market, and we're always in a cycle, right? We're always in some part of the cycle. And once those people start slowing down and they have a little trouble selling their own house, then they're going to be looking to hire that agent. So Carolina asked, Z-Buyer or Red X? Okay, I'll tell you, they're two very different lead sources. And that's one of the problems with them is they're very different lead sources. Z-Buyer operates We Buy Houses websites. Red X is basically they look for expireds and for sale by owner data. Basically, they mine data. So they're very different. I'll tell you, I don't know if one of them's better than the other. Like for me, like sometimes I like for sale by owners better than expired. Sometimes I like expireds better than for sale by owners. I've been amazingly successful with both of them. To be honest with you, like with Red X, you're going to get a lot more numbers. You're getting a lot more at bats than you will Z-Buyer, because you're going to get all the expireds. If you do the for sale by owners, you're going to get all the for sale by owners. Honestly, I think your best option is to have both of them, because I think we need some multiple lead sources. But it's just, what do you feel comfortable with? I mean, I'll tell you, Red X is offering a tremendous deal right now. If you haven't tried it, you should at least sign up for that first month. Call them and tell them you're in this. So yeah. So Jenny asked, which one do I use the most, Z-Buyer or Red X? It's pretty equal. It's hard to say. Some months where I've had a little down month with Z-Buyer, I've had an up month with Red X. Some months where I've had a really crazy month with Red X, I've had a good month with Z-Buyer. So a lot of it depends on my follow-up. A lot of my success depends on my performance. It depends on how aggressive I am going after the lead. I don't think necessarily one lead source is better than the other in that case, or one lead type is better than the other. They're just different lead types. Let's see. Patrick said struggles with the 10 to 15 follow-ups. I guess I kind of feel like I run out of things to offer market update wise. Patrick, you just got to get creative. Holiday weekends are big. First of the month, last month recaps. I like lender programs. The biggest thing is you just got to sit down. You got to map it out. I mean, that's the best thing to do. If you're in my group coaching, I did a call a while back. should be in the group, or it's either on the website in the members section, where I actually go down through like 15 follow-ups. In my book, How to Be a FSBO Master, which is in the file section of this group, I go through some follow-up stuff with that too. But anyway, guys, hey guys, do you have any other questions? Jenny, I think you got to use a fairly local lender to find programs. And sometimes, I just call lenders you're working with. Typically, if you're at a traditional office, they probably drop stuff by the office often, or you get emails and stuff from them. And typically, in my case, I don't have to look hard for a lender to actually find one. But and I don't know what you have in your state, but I find a lot of lender programs seem to be local right now. So, and it seems like not all lenders can offer the same thing. Now, I will tell you, mortgage people seem to be offering a little bit more than like direct banks. Mortgage brokers seem to be offering more than direct banks and correspondent lenders. Yeah, I would just call them, see if they have any 100% down programs. If they have, maybe they have a special FHA program. I know the state of South Carolina has a really kick butt down payment assistance program for certain professionals. Patrick, my group coaching is $50 a month. It's month to month. But yeah, I just kind of see what your market kind of offers. I mean, South Carolina, we have South Carolina down payment assistance, which is a tremendous program for like teachers and stuff like that. And there's a lot of other people that qualify, basically civil servants, is I guess what they call them. But what other questions do you guys have? Oh yeah, the coaching call this morning, all of them for you guys that are in my group coaching program. If you missed it this morning, the recording's in the group coaching group, and you guys can see it there. Let's see. I was looking to see if there was any other questions that I might have missed. Let's see. I got one here. Hey, Jason, you stop by expired houses with your marketing plan as well as call them as soon as they expired for that day. Man, I don't. I don't, and the reason I don't is because it's really time consuming. I think in the time it's going to take me to drive over there and drop it off on their doorstep. I mean, let's just say it's 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back. Dude, I could have dialed 40 numbers with my dialer. And Shauna, do I circle dial? You know what? I have a lot in the past, and by circle dialing, Shauna's talking about calling entire neighborhoods. Redx has a great program called GeoLeads that's for doing that. Now, I have in the past. I don't as much lately because I feel like there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. And by low-hanging fruit, I mean people that we know want to sell. Now, I'll tell you, like if I was doing open houses, um, if I was going to do just list or just sold cards, I would call the neighborhoods around them. And I think open houses, I think that's a dynamite strategy, is to go out and knock on all the doors, stick something in the door, invite them to the open house, then use GeoLeads and call all the numbers in the community. I think that's a killer strategy for doing those things. So guys, I appreciate you guys being on the call with me today. I really look forward to week number 3. This was a good call. Give me some feedback if you don't mind. And guys, I will talk to you. I'll talk to you next week. Have a great day.